Hello everybody, it is the me, Game Penguin 21, and today, well, I found a new game that ruined my sleep schedule again, so I'm going to talk about it, and this time I'm actually going to, release an actual video rather than just tease it for several months and then never release the video. So what am I talking about today? Well, with the recent thing of Elden Ring and stuff, you're thinking I'm going to be talking about the Elden Ring DLC. Well, not really. Because while the Elden Ring DLC is still really cool, I don't think that I would like to play it. Not because I think that it's bad, just because I haven't been in Elden Ring for a while. So, quite honestly, I don't think that I can justify the purchase of that game. If you want to see it, leave a comment down below and I might consider it. But today, I wanted to just talk about a game that I picked up after I got a different game refunded on Steam. And then just completely fucking didn't put it down for 10 hours and was like up until really early in the morning and then fell asleep. So, yeah, I'm fairly certain that this game is really good. And what are we talking about in terms of game-wise? Well, we're talking about a game called Abiotic Factor. Now, what is Abiotic Factor? Now, Abiotic Factor is a Half-Life 1 inspired survival game that takes place within a facility called Gate. And within this facility, they take place of a lot of different entities and things like that. And that's the general premise of it. It's a game that's in early access. And again, it's a survival crafting game set place in like a Half-Life 1 facility with Half-Life 1 graphics, as you can clearly see by the gameplay in the background. And oh my gosh, it is a great fucking game. Seriously, like, I could not put this thing down for 10 hours after I purchased it. So I'm like, yes, this game is definitely getting a video before I go crazy because I have nothing else planned this week. So you're going to listen to me rant about it for at least a little bit because I think that this game deserves a lot more attention. And, I mean, it's got a lot of attention, but it deserves more because it's really good. So let's get started. Of course, like I said at the beginning, it is a first-person crafting survival game where you take things such as like office supplies and stuff, you actively make like makeshift weapons, guns, and other things like that. But there is also like actual guns and things like that do come out eventually within the game. Now, I've only played about 10 hours, so I haven't gotten too deep into the story, but the main objective is to try to escape the facility, because the facility that you are currently at is undergoing what is assumed to be a Half-Life 1 kind of breakout system. Like, if you've ever seen things with any quote-unquote secret organization online with, like, creepypastas, or, again, have played anything of Half-Life 1 or 2, you'll know that this is like one of those things where the entirety of all the entities that they have from this other world and dimension has started to infiltrate the facility in various ways. And obviously, that is a really cool fucking premise. Like, holy shit. Like, to have a survival game set in modern area, set in, like, a modern times, but in, like, these close, condensed hallways where you are going in between cubicles, destroying furniture and packing up other things, and using, like, modern technologies and stuff to actively make cool stuff that you don't see that often. I think the only other game that I can think about that does that is I think in the, like, 7 Days to Die. But even still, that has a lot more fantasy type elements, and that has a lot more zombies in that one. But this one has like genuine aliens and like genuine other alien worlds. And of the worlds that I've visited so far, there's like 2. Again, I'm not too far off, and I'm not too far into the game, but it is such a breath of fresh air to be playing this. It's almost refreshing how survival-y this game is, because there's still like a lot to do and you have to think like 3 steps ahead. And that leads me into the gameplay. The gameplay itself, again, is very straightforward. It's your standard first-person shooter elements with a lot of the survival crafting elements thrown in there as well, but the way that the survival and crafting elements and those things come together is quite interesting. As an example, the survival elements, you have everything from your normal hunger and thirst, but you also have to regularly sleep, you also have to clean yourself, which is another one, and you also have to poo, which not a lot of survival games do that. It's a little annoying, certainly, but it kind of becomes like an interesting routine where you go out into the facility, you kind of make this thing up and do this and do that, and you can go into particular parts of the facility, and as you open up more and more parts of the facility, you end up getting like shortcuts back to specific points in the facility, and it never feels like I never made like no progress at a certain point in the game. There were certain times when progress seemed to stall, but even in those stalling moments where like I was just kind of figuring out what to do next in terms of where to go and what to do, I did practically I didn't not make progress, and I was still like making progress by finding new parts of like crafting materials and things like that in order to make specific this, that, and the other things. For example, one thing that I had to do was I had to make a hacking device in order to get into a specific part of the facility. Again, this is very early on, and this is not really a spoiler, because this is like one of the first missions of the actual game that you have to do. And I had to kill a specific number of the security robots. Now, I did this in a kind of cheesy and roundabout way, where there was a puddle of electrical stuff which kind of zapped the robot to death, so I was able to grab the security bot that was kind of going around there and cart it over to that player area, and was able to take it out fairly efficiently. And again, that was to make a specific part, to be able to make a specific hacking device, to be able to then go and hack my way into a different part of the facility, which was, again, one of those things that's just really cool. And again, it kind of all really just worked. And that, again, leads me into the more crafting elements, where to actually get specific crafting recipes, you have to find the materials. You have to find a specific number of materials. You have to find a specific amounts of materials, and it'll say, hey, you have a few of these things. And when you go through, there's like these blueprints that you have in your brain, and at least in your character's brain. And you have to specifically do like a sort of matching puzzle where you don't really lose in terms of like losing the idea. You lose in terms of time, so that's not the worst thing. But it is still really cool that you have to actively think about like, hey, how do I make this object, and try to do it. And like the game will definitely help you along and say, hey, this is correct and this is not correct. So you're not just like sitting there guessing 5 different combinations of stuff. And sometimes it's super straightforward, and sometimes it's like very interesting and weirdly complex, and I love that as an idea for how you get progress for like crafting blueprints and stuff. It works surprisingly well, and it's really efficient at getting you to think ahead in this game. It is really cool. And the last thing about this that you'll again probably notice is the graphics. It is 110,000% just looks like the old school version of Half-Life 1, and the original like gold source engine Half-Life 1 is what I'm specifically referring to here. And that's not a bad thing, like at all. The game looks actually really cool. Like it looks simple, but it also reminds me a lot of the look and the feel that you get when you originally booted up Half-Life. And I originally booted up Half-Life for the first time, even though it's like a super old game at this point, and I wasn't there at the launch, but I booted it up, and even still to this day, it is impressive how much they got away with in that time. And this kind of goes back to that more impressiveness, but it still works within that and uses more modern systems. And that to me is so righteous with how good this is. Again, it's not like it's reinventing a lot of the wheels here. It just basically is taking the survival crafting gameplay loop and putting it in like a Half-Life 2, like what if Half-Life 2 scenario, or what if Half-Life 1 scenario, mind you, with the graphics and the gameplay and like everything. And it's so much fun. And again, like I said, I played this game for like 10 hours when I first got it, and I can't get over the fact of how actually cool this is. Like, how actually fun it was to play the game. And again, you get things like you have to cook, you have to clean, you have to do this, and the progression of this also comes down to things like skills. And to use the specific skills, you have to figure out how to do that first. But in order to gain particular skills and to make progress in those particular skills, you have to use those particular skills. There's also a character creator, which also kind of ties into the whole skill thing, where you can take positives and negatives versus, in particular, specific negative traits give you more starting points, but certain positive traits take away those positive points, and you can start off with a different background as to what you want to build your character out to be. You'll eventually probably start to get all of them in terms of all of the skill points by the end of the game. But the grind to get at least some of them can really be helpful or hindrance depending on what you're doing. I went with the construction background, and you can kind of see my whole setup with the character that I built here. And I made that because I wanted to kind of have a more combat-focused one. You can make them more combat-focused, you can make them less combat-focused, and again, the facility here is a very nice backdrop and a very nice, interesting setting to set this sort of survival game in. It is. I like it personally also because I've always had this interesting concept in my brain of a thing called house survival. Now, the concept of house survival, you can take this if you want, but because it's just a concept. But the house survival idea that I have is it is a survival horror type game where it's literally about survival, but in like a house. I.e., you have to craft, you have to get food and water and other stuff. You have to survive within the confines of, say, a standard suburban house. Now, you can kind of extend this out to be any sort of house in the world or whatever. You can choose, like, choose a mansion, you can choose a standard house, you can choose this house, you can choose a one house. And over time, you're meant to kind of replay it in the way of you get into this routine, but as things could devolve, eventually the house starts to twist and to turn and to get different. And it's inspired by the times when you are like either home alone or you are late night gaming into the early hours of the morning, and I would sometimes walk down the stairs and feel like I was playing a survival horror game, but I was actually like playing for my survival. Like, I never felt too scared, but there were some times when I was scared, and I just like that interesting idea in the back of my head, and this kind of scratches that itch in a way that I just didn't think that it would. The animations are fantastic. You can even see your fucking legs, which I find to be the greatest detail for this type of game. It is wonderful. It is a beautifully designed, lovely romp through what is essentially a new Half-Life 1 type mod, but made in like a modern game engine with modern touches and modern quality of life assurances that just looks and feels awesome to play. Like, I don't know what else I would have to say here to get you to play this game, but go and play this game yesterday. It is so worth the money, and it's also on sale, at least for the next few days, at the time of me releasing this video, because of the summer sale, which is how I picked it up. And I would definitely recommend that you pick this game, even worth the full price tag, because holy crap, I got like 10 hours when I couldn't put this game down. And that's even as in before, there is actually co-op multiplayer in this game as well, where you can join people in their own facilities as your scientist. I think the cosmetics kind of transfer over, but certain specific skills and stuff don't. So you can get like a re-uppage of a lot of the different builds and things, and it's all really, really fun. And again, I just think that this game is just lovely, lovely, lovely. So yeah, again, while everyone else is playing things like The First Descent and stuff like that, I'm playing Abiotic Factor, and I'm gonna be honest, I highly recommend this game. If you got like $20, maybe even $30, go out and buy this game and play it. You won't regret it if you are a survival crafting nutcase who likes, like, say, Minecraft and stuff. This game is totally fun. But yeah, overall, I think that'll about do it for today. Again, not really any salt stuff, but I wanted to do more positive videos. I wanted to extend out more of my content. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching this review of mine. If you like what it is that I do and want to support me in any other way, shape, or form, links down to everything in the description below, including my songs and things like that. I'll probably also have a recent up of a live stream that I've been doing, because I've been working on my songs for a lot, and I've decided I'm going to have an entire set posted to my channel of all my original sounds. So that being said, thank you again so much for watching. My name is GamePango21, and a peace off